Hey guys, happy Monday. I hope you had a good weekend. One of the things I have probably missed the most, or one of the things I have certainly missed, has been our Monday mentor text read aloud time. You guys know how much I love our read aloud time. So today I thought I would share our mentor text with you via video. I actually remember to bring this book home from school with us when I was grabbing things on that very last day. So this week we're going to be reading we're going to be learning about tall tales. So I'm going to be sharing with you the book Pecos Bill, which is a tall tale. This particular story is being retold by Stephen Kellogg, and you're probably familiar with Stephen Kellogg. He's written lots of different books, a lot of them being folk tales, where he's retelling that folk tale to you. I had mentioned in one of the little chats I did earlier, if you had a chance to listen to it, that Pecos Bill was actually not a real person. He's an imaginary person, but they use this story to retell events in history. So he's not real, but it's certainly an interesting tall tale. So enjoy. Back in the rugged pioneer days when Pecos Bill was a baby, his kinfolk decided that New York was becoming entirely too crowded. So they piled into covered wagons and headed west. The clan considered settling in East Texas until Bill's ma noticed a homesteader putting up a shack about 50 miles away. "Another crowded neighborhood," she grumbled. "Let's push on." 50 miles away, and she thought that was too crowded or too close. As they crossed the Pecos River, Bill threw out a fishing line. But when a Texas trout nibbled, Bill was yanked overboard. He was towed to far downstream, and he would have drowned for sure if an old coyote hadn't grabbed him. Her family adopted Bill and taught him the ways of wild creatures. By the time Bill had outgrown his breeches, his pants, he felt like a member of the pack. He loved to romp with his coyote brothers, and as he grew older, he sometimes played with the bighorn sheep. One day, a drifter named Chuck stumbled across Bill while he was taking a nap. He asked Bill what he meant by snoozing in the brush without his trousers. Bill tried to explain that he was actually a coyote. "Horse feathers," said Chuck. "You're a Texan just like me." Bill decided to give life as a Texan a try. He borrowed Chuck's extra clothes and peppered him with questions. "To tell you the truth," said Chuck, "most Texans are feather-bitten outlaws, and the worst of them are the Hell's Gulch gang. But even they could be okay if they'd become ranchers and herd those longhorn that wander hereabouts." Ranching sounded good to Bill, and he headed for Hell's Gulch, determined to recruit that gang. But Bill's plans were interrupted when he was ambushed by a giant rattlesnake. When Bill dodged the snake's fangs, it slapped its coils around him. The snake squeezed hard, but Bill squeezed harder, and he didn't let up until every drop of poison was out of that reptile, leaving it skinny as a rope and mild as a goldfish. Then, before Bill could catch his breath, he was tackled by a critter that was part grizzly, part puma, part gorilla, and part tarantula. They wrestled up and down the canyon and kicked up quite a dust storm before the monster finally became so dizzy it had to quit. I'm sure you're noticing by now all the exaggerations. That's one of the things that makes tall tales so fun to read, is all the exaggerations that the storyteller puts in them to make it more fun. Wrestling a rattlesnake and squeezing the poison out? I doubt it. No one had ever tangled with two varmints and lived to tell the tale. So when Bill met up with the Hell's Gulch gang, they were thunderstruck. "Who's the boss of this outfit?" Bill asked. "I was," mumbled Gunsmith. "But now you is." Bill told the gang that he was going to turn every last one of them into respectable ranch hands. But the men claimed that Texas cattle were much too ornery to ever put up with ranching. Bill had a sudden inspiration, and he approached a longhorn that was sulking nearby. Just as the bull whirled around to trample him, Bill snagged him with the rattlesnake and yanked with all his might. Cattle roping had just been invented. So he's just like created the lasso. Bill scared the bull out of its skin with a blood-curdling coyote howl. The embarrassed creature hightailed it off to grow a new coat, while Bill cut the hide into strips and passed them out to the men to use as lassos. Then cowboys and cattle tangled in a rough and tumble hullabaloo that is remembered to this day as the first Western rodeo. I'm sure you guys have heard of rodeos before. When it ended, the gang declared they would be cowboys forever, and they promised to help Bill round up every steer in Texas. So here's one of those historical events that this story of Pecos Bill is trying to tell. The first rodeo, starting to lasso the bulls. Bill needed a horse to ride on the big roundup. "Well," said Chuck, "there's a wild stallion in the mountains that some folks call Lightning. Others think the name Widowmaker suits him better. But no matter what you call him, he's the fastest, most beautiful horse in the world." Bill went out in search of Lightning. As soon as he saw him, Bill knew that he'd found the horse for him. Bill chased Lightning north to the Arctic Circle and south to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Finally, he conquered the stallion and jumped onto his back. Lightning exploded from the canyon, leaping and bucking across 3 states. Then Bill began to sing in the language he had learned from his coyote family. He sang of his admiration for the stallion's strength and promised him a lifetime of partnership and devotion. When Bill was done singing, he offered the horse his freedom, but Lightning chose to follow him forever. With Pecos Bill and Lightning leading them, the cowboys whooped across the state of Texas, rounding up every last steer. But their high spirits collapsed when they were faced with the job of driving that enormous herd back and forth between the summer and winter ranges. To silence their grumbling, Bill set up the Perpetual Motion Ranch on Pinnacle Peak, which was so high that the top remained in winter, while spring and autumn turned into summer at the base. So you probably can't see in this picture, but all of these little dots represent the different steer that the cattle that they're trying to move back and forth across the state of Texas. So he's setting up this perpetual motion ranch, and perpetual motion means it never stops. So the cattle think they're always moving. A team of prairie dogs helped Bill to fence off the mountains so that the cattle could wander through the seasons unattended. Bill's plan worked fine, except that Pinnacle Peak was so steep that the steer fell right off whenever there was a breeze. The men had to work harder than ever carrying the cattle back up the hill. Bill solved that problem by inventing steers with very short legs on one side of their bodies. So even in a windstorm, these cattle could stand securely on the slope as long as they kept their short-legged side uphill. I wish you could see this picture better because they are really strange-looking creatures. Now the men of Perpetual Motion Ranch had all kinds of free time, and Bill became known as the world's greatest cowboy. But the high point of Bill's life came when Slewfoot Sue passed by on the back of a catfish. Bill was instantly in love, and he hollered a proposal of marriage. Sue agreed on 2 conditions. First, Bill had to buy her a wedding dress with a bustle, and second, he had to let her ride Lightning to the ceremony. The first request was easy. Bill galloped to Dallas and brought back the fanciest bustled dress in the city. Sue's second request was not so simple. Although Slewfoot Sue was a first-rate rider, the moment her bustle touched the saddle, she was blasted skyward. Oh my. Sue soared around the moon and began the long descent back to Earth. She landed squarely on her bustle, but quick as Bill was, he couldn't get to her before she bounced back into outer space. Time and time again, Sue hit the ground and rocketed back toward the stars. Sue probably would have sailed back and forth forever if Bill hadn't lassoed a tornado to help him catch his bouncing bride. The pair of them clung to that careening storm until it blew itself over California. To Bill's amazement, he and Sue landed on top of his Ma and Pa's wagon. How strange. Definitely exaggerated. Bill couldn't believe his kinfolk were still searching for a home site. He told them they could spend the rest of their days roaming, but they'd never find a place to equal Texas. Everyone returned to Bill's ranch for a wing-ding of a family reunion, and today their descendants are still there, happily herding cattle. Oh, I can see I got fuzzy there for a second. Sorry about that. Hope you enjoyed this story. Again, most tall tales are based on a real person, but this one is not. The tall tales you'll be reading later this week are about real people in history. So the mentor sentence that I have picked for you this week from this book is, he loved to romp with his coyote brother, and as he grew older, he sometimes played with the bighorn sheep. So today's activity is, what is one thing you noticed about this sentence? Okay, just like you've been doing the last couple of weeks. I hope you enjoyed this story. Hope you're doing well. Keep in touch, and I'm here if you need me. Take care. Bye for now.